Germany, die Mannschaft, the epitome of dominance and success. But their ultimate triumph is really a product of one of their ultimate failures. This is how Germany took defeat and transformed it into one of the greatest victories ever. Step 1. Invest in the future. It's the turn of the century and the glory days of Beckenbauer seem far away. Two disastrous early tournament exits at Euro 2000 and Euro 2004 signal a real problem.
There was a time where they were seeing that they couldn't really compete at the big tournaments anymore. So they knew they had to make a change and invest a lot more in youth.
Suddenly German football realised that they were no longer producing the best players in the world. The depth and the real exciting creative players were being produced elsewhere.
Germany was always in the final and we had tournaments we were so close.
But they needed to really bring the youth development into the modern age and just decide, okay, we're just going to invest heavily. We no longer will rely on somebody's uncle who in his spare time will coach the under-15s, but no, we will get the best qualified guy.
We create the so-called Nachwuchsleistungszentren, and since then I think we have spent more than $1 billion in the youth departments all over Germany. We built new facilities. The education of the coaches is very good and on a very high level.
And they came up with lots of benchmarks, lots of boxes that needed to be ticked for you to say, okay, if I'm an academy, if I do all these things, then I get a bit of extra money from the league, and if I do a bit more, then I can get a bit of more money. So it became a kind of a virtuous cycle. And then clubs quickly realized that by producing a lot of young players, you could save money on buying them in the transfer market.
So our philosophy is not to buy stars, but to create stars.
Step 2. Cooperate and embrace change. Youth investment was just the first phase, and it took a massive global event to get all of German football on the same page.
When they awarded the right to stage the World Cup in 2006, 6 years earlier in 2000, it coincided with a big crisis, and it enabled sort of a climate of cooperation with everyone saying we have to pull together. There was a sense of we don't want to embarrass ourselves at home in the World Cup. Let's make this work as best as we can.
I think everybody saw that they all want to compete at a club level, but they all know that they want to see Germany as a national team succeed.
And I think the whole idea of what it means to support Germany as a team, but perhaps even as a country, and be proud and be patriotic without being chauvinistic or full of aggression, is something that goes back to 2006, and that's really fundamentally changed the whole attitude between football and the rest of the public.
By 2010, things were beginning to click into place. Bundesliga clubs saw the value of working together in support of the national team as Germany's youth development efforts were coming to fruition.
Maybe at the World Cup 2010 you see the first time that those two movements kind of converge, and you can see something really is working here. The team is playing much better, and suddenly you have all these players who don't look German necessarily, don't play German football necessarily, the Boatengs, the Özils, the Khediras, but they were all the first generation who'd gone through that academy setup and became very different players as a result, creating a much more refined and technically more exciting Germany as a result. And I think you could see that also with Bayern Munich and Dortmund having success in the Champions League. You know, no German team had been to a final since 2001, but 2013 you had two. Bayern had become a superpower on the back of a lot of German players.
When you see today a lot of young players like Thomas Mueller, who got the chance to play at Bayern Munich, is now one of the most important players in the national team.
Step 3. Put it all together and win. At the 2014 World Cup, Germany fought through a mediocre group stage to do the unthinkable and absolutely dismantle 5-time winners Brazil in their own backyard. The performance defined everything they were building for. And then, 5 days later, almost 15 years of planning, investment, youth development, and club cooperation came together on one night in Rio de Janeiro in extra time against Messi's Argentina.
So this is very late on in the game. Germany have struggled really to open up Argentina, and under Schurrle just takes the ball and starts running. And he puts in that kind of ball where there's so much pace on his run that he almost falls backward and doesn't see where the ball ends up. Mario Goetze, just by pure instinct, has run into the box. He controls the ball with his chest, moves the ball into the perfect shooting position, and then stretches with his left foot to fire it past the keeper. Score what is probably the best goal ever scored in the final.
it's the best memory I have from this, because there was so many emotions. You can't describe it in words, because it was like you look around and see this massive stadium, you see the German fans, and you look around, we just scored and it's almost over, so that's the best feeling.
Before Mario's goal, there was a similar situation, and the player from Argentina didn't stop the ball as good as Mario. And if he would have stopped the ball better, we may have lost.
It's an iconic moment because here two graduates from the academy system, two representatives of the new way of German football.
From our youth department, I think he played in our youth system for 10 years. And so for us a great moment.
It's something, something so big that you can't imagine at this moment, and then you look around and now you talk to people and it will be forever in their minds and in mine, of course.
But the process is never ending, as Germany look ahead to the future and others try to learn from their example.
I think that they've realized that this is a never-ending process, that you just have to keep at it to make sure you keep your edge.
Maybe we see a lot of big players coming through with the year like 2005, 2006, because there was the guys that were like 10, 9, 10 to watch their team win the World Cup, and they saw, oh yeah, we can do this as well, we want to do this as well.
What Germany did after 2000 is not easily reproducible, but I think there's still some universal lessons that can be learned. And what is relevant is the amount of players you can produce who are among the best in the world. Concentrate on the education of the players and then giving them also a platform where they can play regularly. And I think that's where German football ended up, through a bit of luck, but also with some very smart ideas and a spirit of cooperation.